Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana state, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. Welcome back, Bobcat fans. Well, it is good to be back. It's been a long time since Ryan and I have put out an episode of the R&R CatCast, but we are the Ryans of the R&R CatCast. We're happy to be back here on the microphone. We just had an awesome weekend over at Media Days over here in Spokane. We'll get right into that. But first of all, Thorny, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. It was a lot of fun seeing you in Spokane, so we got to spend some time together. I got a week preparing at work to get ready to go on vacation next week, so it's kind of been a whirlwind week, but I'm going to be driving right by you again. But you know what? I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm great.
Thorny, I'm going to put you on the hot seat right now. I just want to know best and worst part of coming to Spokane.
Well, I mean, the worst part is the drive. And it's a long drive for me. I was thinking about that. I drove basically a total of 12, 13 hours total to interview Amandre Williams, Lewis Kidd, and Brent Vigen for a grand total of like 45 minutes. So not a real good return on the drive there, but it was a lot of fun. I think the best part was just hanging out with you. Honestly, it was great interviewing the guys, but, getting to see each other in person and just talking some stuff in person and attempting a live broadcast, which we promptly delete off the face of the planet. It was a lot of fun.
I was wondering if you're going to mention that. Yeah, we did attempt a live broadcast. And Thorny's audio was just all blown out. It was really bad. So we just ended up deleting that off the face of the earth, like you said.
I told you I've never done it before, and you're like, let's do it. So that's what happens when I do something that I've not researched or figured out how to do yet. So,
well, we got a little bit better. We have a little bit of experience underneath our belt now.
That's right. That's right. Now we know.
Right on. All right, let's do a quick rundown of this episode. Thanks for joining us again. We're going to talk about... what did we experience at the Media Days over here in Spokane? The Big Sky Kickoff. If you didn't know, the Big Sky Kickoff to the season was held here in Spokane over this past weekend, and Ryan and I were fortunate enough to go to that, so we'll talk about our experiences there. We're going to talk about the preseason poll that came out. There's two of them, the coaches poll and the media poll. Pretty similar on both, but we'll give you some reactions to that. We'll go into the preseason MVPs, and we'll take a look at who on the Bobcats landed on all conference preseason lists and maybe who got snubbed. And then we're going to talk a little bit. We'll go into some ESPN news and Root television news and just some quick updates on the MSU schedules for that. But the most important thing about the whole episode today is we're going to share our interviews with Amandre Williams and Lewis Kidd on the back half of the episode. So that's the real treat we got for you on that. But before we get into anything else, we are going to talk about what we're drinking tonight. Thorny, what do you got in your coolie over there?
I got the goat, and I'm going to open it. There we go. That probably sounded nice and crisp. I got Jeremiah Johnson Mountain Man Scotch Ale. Saved it for this episode. First one back in a while. That's what I got in my coolie, man. It is one of my favorite scotches. Always delicious. Always a good choice.
Man, that's awesome, dude. And this is probably a good time to share with our audience that we are fortunate enough to be partnering with Jeremiah Johnson for a second season. So we were totally stoked on that. And, he makes great beer. We love the Bobcats. He loves the Bobcats. We're all from Great Falls, so it's a great marriage for us.
Slam dunk.
Slam dunk. Attaboy. All right. In mine, I stole a Coors Original. We're going camping tomorrow, and I have camping beer in the fridge, and it's promptly all packed up, but I didn't have any other beer, so I had to dip into the camping beer, and there you go. I pulled out a Coors Original for the episode.
So you stole it from your camping supply? Is that what you mean by stole?
Yeah, I stole it from myself. My left hand's feeding the right hand right there.
You might regret that later on in the camping trip when, I just wish I had one more beer, and you'll think back to the episode, and you'll just curse yourself, as you scream to the heavens.
Okay. Well, let's get right into it. Let's roll back into how Spokane was. So, Thorny, this is my second time going to the Big Sky Media Days, and again, I just want to reiterate how lucky we are as just two guys, just two fans doing this podcast, to be able to go into the room with all these professional reporters and media people. What did you think? I want to know, how did it strike you when you first walked in?
I was trying to be all cool and prepared this time and not be just a fanboy or just a fan and just see these, larger than life figures for what this level of football is for the conference. And you just walk in there and it's hey, there's Bruce Barnum. Holy crap. There he is. That's Bruce Barnum. I've listened to him. I've seen him. He's a coach in the conference. And now I'm sitting 10 feet away from him. I see Rob Fennessy over there. It was just really cool. Just being in the room with all those people. Got a serious case of imposter syndrome. What are we doing here? I see all these credentialed media people. There's the TV crews from Root was there. That Spokane station that you were talking about with Dennis
SWX.
Yeah, just SWX. Okay. They were there. They were doing all this. Yes, there was a room that said ESPN Plus. That's where the guys would go and do their little stream for ESPN Plus. There's just lots of traditional big time media hanging out there, and it was us and Brian Marceau from Tubbs at the Club, the Idaho podcast, as the only podcasters that were in attendance. But it was really cool to meet Brian, and we also met Sam Herder over from Hero Sports. So it's just kind of cool to meet some of the people that you read their stories and actually connect with them, and that was cool. And they were actually, we got some compliments on our stuff, which always makes you feel a little bit more validated. All right, at least people listen to us and they don't think we're complete garbage at the media level. So that was cool. So yeah, man, it was just a really cool experience. I was nervous. It was a whirlwind in some ways, but I calmed down in the end, and now I'm going back in my head. I wish we would have networked more, met more people. I'm not necessarily regretting not interviewing anybody else coaches wise. I don't know what I would ask Bruce Barnum, but I wish we would have met some more people in the media. But you know what? It was a lot of fun. And for a first time, it was just a great experience.
We did meet in Colton Poole from the Bozeman Daily Chronicle, and he extended his expertise out to us. And for sure, we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to get Colton on probably multiple times this season. So excited for that for sure.
Yep.
Ryan, I was more calm this time going into the media days. I remember feeling awestruck the first time. I mean, back in 2018, 2019. So we were just starting this thing, and I walk in there, and I was like you said, this imposter mentality of I should not be here, and probably we shouldn't have been there. But I walked in, I felt a lot more confident this year, and we just had so much fun. I really loved talking to Brenton Vegan. I thought that was probably my highlight. He's a big dude. Man, he's he's all of 6'4", right? I mean, he looks like he could just strap it on right now and fill some holes for us. So
the thickness that is Brenton Vegan.
Yeah, right. And, I love talking to the players. They seemed like they were they were having a good time. I mean, they were just sitting there. It was weird because all those, it's weird. It was like a circus going on around us, right? I mean, like you said, you had all these media corporations pulling the players, pulling the coaches, all the reporters trying to get in. And at one point, you're just like, okay, you just kind of have to be a little cutthroat. And then there's an opening at the table where the players and the coaches are. You just got to go for it. And that's what we did. And we made the best of it. So, yeah, we're excited to share that sound with Lewis Kidd and Amandre Williams. Here, we'll release the sound with Brent Vegan later on a different episode. But, yeah, super pumped that we got to go forward to next year already.
Agreed. Yeah, it was a lot of fun interviewing the two guys. And I think you guys will enjoy our amateur crafted questions for them.
Right on. We try to think of our questions through a fan's perspective, and so we think you'll like them.
Which basically, that's kind of the angle I think we approached is like, all right, we know the questions that guys are going to get asked by everybody, and we asked a couple of those because you just kind of have to, but you're trying to ask some questions that maybe make them smile, like, oh yeah, and then that's a good question. Like, thank you for asking something that's not the same question over and over. So that's what we aim for. So. Well, all right. Well, let's move on to some other stuff that happened in the media event. I like the way the Big Sky has kind of turned this into a news blast. They kind of wait to do their preseason polls, their all conference teams, any other kind of bigger announcements to kind of save it and release it. We were actually like, people were asking us like, have they released the conference team? Like, and I'm like, I have no idea, man. But they were doing it all at the event, and you can actually check your Twitter and you see like, okay, now they did. Like 15 minutes later, after we were asked about that. So, starting off with the preseason poll, let's take it. Do you want to read the coaches poll or the media poll, or how do you want to take this?
Yeah, well, I'll do both of them because they're almost identical.
They're identical, yeah, right.
Yeah, so coach's poll was Weber, number 1, Montana, 2, Eastern Washington, Montana State, 4, Sac State, UC Davis, Northern Arizona, Idaho State, Portland State, Southern Utah, Cal Poly, and the bottom would be Northern Colorado. The only difference in the media poll is Northern Colorado and Cal Poly flip-flop there at the very bottom, but other than that, they are exactly the same. Exactly the same. And we have not seen that in years past. So I do have some thoughts on this, but I want to get your take first, Thornton.
My first thought is, did the coach not watch Cal Poly play? Because how do you not put Cal Poly dead last after how they played in the spring? I know Northern Colorado didn't play, but not playing is better than playing the way Cal Poly did. So, but that's pretty interesting that it all turned out the same way. Now there's a big decent variance in terms of like votes. The coaches poll was a little closer in terms of like who got first place votes, maybe. But you know what? Just looking at it, I mean, you got to go Weber State. You just kind of have to give it to them because they've earned it. But I thought Weber State showed a ton of chinks in the armor in the spring, and so the surprise to me, I guess, would be Montana number 2. But if you're really looking at this with an objective eye, like who else would you put there though? So I guess that's where my first question back to you is: what do you think of the Grizz at number 2?
I think it's probably right. I mean, they're built for success, and what I mean by that, they're not gimmicky in any way. They have traditional kind of offense. They play fast on defense. They're getting a lot of love right now from the people I listen to, but most of the people I listen to they're kind of Grizzly slanted anyways. And so, it's the whole hype behind the Bobby Houck thing. And honestly, Ryan, I was thinking about this before we came on tonight. If they don't fulfill their destiny, which is, I don't know what that is, winning championships, is that what they're about? Because it has been since 2009 since they touched one. But if they don't fulfill that this year, I mean, the hype train around the Grizzlies is pretty big right now. So it's either put up or shut up for Montana.
A lot of the hype train, too, for the Grizz is because I think a lot of people expected that it would take them a few years to kind of sniff the levels that they used to get in the aughts, 2000s. But since it's kind of ahead of track, if you listen to the Grizz pundits, like you're saying, so now what do you do? Like you're ahead of the schedule and you've made it all the way to the quarterfinals? Like, yeah, how do you got to keep that going? Like, what if you take a step back? What if you lose in the first round? What if you don't make the playoffs? Like, unfortunately for us Cat fans, I think the Grizz have a relatively easy schedule. So I think they're going to it'll at the very least host a playoff game. But I think they're about right at number 2 because everyone else on the list who played in the spring didn't look all that great. As you can see, Idaho went all the way down to 8th in both polls based on how they played. Eastern Washington, I could see them at number 3. I could see the Cats at number 3, and that's maybe where my only bone of contention would be. But you know what? We lost players to graduation. We have a new head coach. We haven't played since 2019. So in reality, preseason doesn't mean a whole lot. I have no problem with really the top 4 or 5. In fact, I don't have any problem anywhere in the poll, really. It's basically same thing every year. It's the Weber states, it's the Montana states, and the Eastern Washingtons, and then it's pretty much everyone else. You could just take the other, 8 teams and just throw a dart on the board, and yeah, that's what it's going to end up being. Idaho likes to think they're in the conversation, and I truly thought that they would be, but another disappointing little spring season for them, and you could just toss them in the back half anywhere too.
Yeah, got the Blue Bloods at the top, right? And the only surprise I'm seeing in the one that I would that if I was making this or I had a vote in it, I would have voted Idaho State a lot higher.
Yeah, they're definitely a candidate, I think, for the dark horse, if you want to use that term, because I thought they actually looked pretty good in the spring. They're one of the few teams that I thought actually helped their stock in the spring, and here they are picked 9th. So I think Idaho State's a better team than Northern Arizona for sure. But
yeah, Northern Arizona has a cakewalk of a season though, so we're not going to get into schedules right now, but we can talk about that a little later.
All right. Well, there's the polls. Where are we moving on to next?
Well, let's talk a little bit about Big Sky accolades, preseason, all conference. We'll start off with preseason MVPs, and no surprise for offense, Eric Barriere from Eastern Washington, who has been at Eastern Washington forever. It feels like all these guys are, right?
Everything feels that right now, though, because
I know, right?
COVID.
Come on. And then the second, the defensive MVP was Trey Walker from Idaho, linebacker. And I know that's going to make our Tubs at the Club guys pretty happy. And the Jace Lewis of Montana was the most notable snub from that, because I believe he was Big Sky MVP or selected preseason MVP in 2000. Yeah, 2000 or no, in the spring. And so,
whatever. I know what you're saying. Like the season that didn't happen.
And so there might be a little bit of like bias right there from the teams that played. Who's to say? But again, this is taken with a grain of salt because it's preseason. We don't want to be dubbed the preseason champs as our friends across the hill would rally against us in like 2010 or something like that. Montana State was picked number 1, and they're like, oh, preseason champs, national champs. It doesn't really matter right now.
And it might be one of the most, like, people know the least about what's going to happen that I've seen coming into a season because, the Grizz played a couple games, but, they weren't real games. And then you got the Cats, you got Sac State, and you got Northern Colorado, who didn't play anything since 2019. And then you had the like kind of bastardized spring season where there was injuries and it was short and it was weird and there was COVID, and it's just hard to know what's going to happen. It's hard to know who's going to be good. So a lot of unknowns going into it. So in reality, and any of the preseason stuff for this year is the most like, who cares? Spring, like preseason stuff that I think I can remember in my lifetime.
Right. We haven't played football in 19 months. So it's just, yeah, I think we can move on this conversation.
Well, did we even mention any Bobcats that are on here?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we can't move on quite yet.
At least mention the guys on there. And even though I just got done saying stuff doesn't matter, I think the Cats did get some snubs. So why don't you read us who did get on the list here?
Okay, so first team, not a big surprise here. In Troy Anderson, outside linebacker, got voted first team. Troy Anderson could line up at left guard. He might still get first team votes, I'm pretty sure at this point. So the other notable Montana State Bobcat that earned preseason accolades was Tuiasa Sopo, third team, at guard, I believe, which is, we were having some trouble finding some information on that. So only 2 Montana State Bobcats
We're so good at this.
preseason accolades, which is like, okay. I mean, what about the 2 guys we interviewed, Amandre Williams and Lewis Kidd? They don't even sniff the list? Come on now.
How is Lewis Kidd not one of the best offensive linemen in the league? I know he's switching over to tackle, but there's no way. I think he's probably the best prospect on the Cats roster, so I don't know how he's not one of the top linemen. And then, of course, just the way that the Bobcat offense operates, it's going to be hard to get a running back on there. And there is a really crowded running back room right now, but it's like, how can Isaiah Afonso not be one of the best 2 running backs in the league? I know that the Cats share the ball a lot. I know he's had on and off injuries, and his stats, as far as that kind of stuff is concerned, isn't eye-popping, but, I'm taking him over anybody else in the league.
Yeah, well, we talk about how this doesn't really matter a lot, but this can serve as a little bit of motivation for the boys.
And then you got Chase Benson, man. I think Chase Benson is going to be one of the best defensive tackles in the league. A scary, scary mamma jamma, as you're going to hear from our from our 2 interviews today, or from Monday. I don't even recognize these names. Like Jared Scheiss and Bryce Rogers from UC Davis. Like, I don't even know who those people are. So it's hard to say that Chase Benson is not going to be on there. But again, he's not going to be the kind of guy that necessarily has the big stats because he's hogging up the middle. So, it is what it is.
Whatever. Well,
and then what do you think about the last one? I guess would be Tyrell Thomas. Maybe I'd like to see him on the list and get some accolades, but I really don't have any problem with him not being on there.
Yeah, he's been a dog for us for a long time. He's certainly deserved some recognition. I think in the past he's probably made 2nd team or 3rd team before. I think. Does that sound right?
I think he's been at least honorable mention or something at one point. But pretty much everybody is honorable mention when you have 3 teams and honorable mentions. It's almost impossible not to get on the list.
Yeah, except preseason, right? All right, Thorny, let's get right into the announcements on the ESPN and U. And you're going to take that first, and then I'll talk about the Root games.
ESPNU. So yeah, the Cats game at Weber State in Ogden has been moved to Friday, and the Cats will be on national TV under the bright lights night game in Ogden on October 15th instead of October 16th. So that's pretty exciting news. I thought there was some good buzz among the MSU people and Weber State people at the media event for this. And then October 2nd would be the Grizz at Eastern Washington. So unfortunately, the red turf is going to make it on the national TV again. But you know what? I'm excited. I'm excited for that, man. Like, I don't know, ESPNU isn't the same as like ESPN or ESPN2 or any of those, but I think it's in more homes than like Root Sports is nationwide. So, it's going to be good exposure for the conference. I wish it was in Bozeman instead of Weber State, but it's a night game on ESPNU. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. I mean, right, ESPN could have made these at Montana and at Bozeman, but whatever, right? I mean, we have to watch Eastern Washington's Red Field. Man, by the way, Eastern's field, the whole stadium is horrible. Like, one of the worst places I've ever watched a game. Anyways,
you only live right next to it, so.
Yeah, well, it's just hot and windy, and the stadium is just like a high school stadium. It's just bad. So, anyways, I don't want to get on that tangent. Let's talk about the Root games.
Root Sports.
All right. On October 9th, Cal Poly at Montana State. That will be on Root. October 16th, Idaho is going to be playing at Eastern Washington. That's been a kind of a fun little rivalry between the Vandals and the Eagles right there. And Idaho's had the upper hand in that the last couple times. So,
yeah, they have somehow. It's been their calling card. They beat Eastern and not a lot else.
Yeah. October 30th, day before Halloween, Southern Utah at Missoula. And then, of course, November 20th, Montana State at Montana. So those are your root games for the upcoming season.
So the Grizz get 2 home games there. The Cats get 1 home game. But, of course, Root's always going to get the Brawl of the Wild, and it just isn't Bozeman or in Missoula this year. So 2 games on Root and 1 on ESPNU. It's pretty good national TV exposure for the Cats this year.
Yeah, I love those night games, too. I can't wait for that ESPNU game.
So speaking of scheduling, you didn't really want to talk about this, and I just want to hit on it briefly. The Big Sky Conference did release the 2022 through the 2024 schedules, which are now 12 teams because Southern Utah, I believe this is their last year in the Big Sky. They're not having a big, long, weird transitional period like North Dakota did where they weren't in the conference, but like for 4 years, the games counted as conference games. That was hard to wrap your head around. Now they're gone. The games don't count. No one's playing them. Goodbye, Southern Utah. But the point is, the conference is actually making an effort to be more balanced in their approach with the scheduling. They've made kind of a commitment to, like, you're going to play every conference opponent once at home and once away in a 4-year span or something like that. So there's no more like, there was a span where we didn't play Northern Colorado for years, like anywhere.
Like 5 years.
Yeah, it was weird. Like, how did it even happen? Like, I don't care about Northern Colorado, but it's just,
yeah.
You just want to try and balance the scheduling, because with a big conference like this, when half the conference is good and half the conference is just real bad, some teams just get it easier. And I think the other big thing to take away from this too was Idaho and Montana lost their protected rival status. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
There was some big hubbub about that. Like, Idaho, not happy about that. I'm not sure how the Grizz feel about that. Probably not as upset as Idaho fans. But that's the other interesting thing. Did the Cats gain Eastern as their protected rival?
Yeah, we dropped Northern Colorado and gained Eastern, which I think is a really good move. Like, why Northern Colorado?
How do we not play our protected rival for years anyway? Clearly it meant nothing. But anyway, yeah, so Eastern and the Grizz are quote rivals, which is fine. Like, I would say those are our 2 biggest rivals in the conference, so it works out. But I'm just glad to see the Big Sky Conference, try and fix the mess that is the unbalanced scheduling in this weird, overinflated league. So kudos to trying. We're not going to talk about the Cats' schedules. I don't want to get that in depth with it. I just wanted to, look at a broader scope of it and give the Big Sky a little bit of kudos for trying here in a difficult situation that they got themselves into.
All right, Thorny, I think it is time. The main reason why our listeners are here is for the audio from our players during media days. So we're going to start off with Amandre Williams. We talked to him first, and we'll play that audio for you right now. All right, we going to go? Yeah. All right, so it's been about 19 months since you guys last played. What do you miss about it the most?
Football. Miss playing football for sure. The fans, obviously, it means a lot to them to be able to watch us play football, and that kind of feeds us as a team. And it feels a little weird to not be doing something you've been doing your whole life and have to take a step back from it. But we're just excited to get back on the field again.
Offensive line.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Hopefully I can...
So my second question is, like, you and Lewis are like some of the most recognizable dudes in the whole university. I mean, you guys are like the face of Montana State. What does that mean to you?
It's cool, but at the end of the day, football's a team sport, so we don't pay attention to that necessarily. It's cool to get recognized. It means a lot, but we're just trying to win football games and just let the rest take care of the rest.
So, when you transferred from University of Washington, did you ever imagine being here right now?
No. If you asked me 5 years ago, did I picture myself being in the Big Sky Conference playing for Montana State? No. But I will say that I am glad to be here, and probably my biggest regret as a college football player is not coming here sooner.
Really?
I love it here. I really do.
That was one of my questions I was thinking about last night before I was going to bed. I was like, I wonder if you regret coming to Bozeman, or if it's been like a blessing for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of both. I say a regret as in I love it here so much. I wish I was able to meet these guys earlier and be around them longer. I'm definitely grateful for the time I had at Washington and the things I've learned under that staff and kind of around those players. But man, I love Bozeman. I love the fans in Bozeman. I love the players. I love the staff. So it's been definitely a blessing to be a part of the team.
Do you see yourself sticking around Bozeman after you graduate?
I would love to, man. I really would. I love Montana. I love the peace. I love the quiet. I mean, we'll see what happens. I'd love to eventually come back one day for sure. So. Yeah.
I'm gone. I'm going back to Virginia.
Yeah.
So who are some of the guys that you looked up to in the program when you first got here?
When I first got here, I mean, immediately the first connection I had was obviously Coach Choate coming from Washington, and then Bryce Sturck, who I played with at Washington. Other than those guys, being part of the defensive line, it was guys like Derek Marks who were big mentors. I mean, just kind of getting familiar with the culture around here was big, and those guys who had kind of established that, the older guys, was big being around them.
How's the culture right now? I'm curious.
Great. I mean, there was a lot of continuity between staffs, culture-wise. Coach Vegan has great values to kind of underline our team. And, I mean, it wasn't broken when they came in by any means. But they've definitely continued to move the program in the right direction, and it's been a lot of fun to be a part of.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, Ryan and I were both big fans of Choate, obviously.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we haven't seen anything in like 19 months.
Yeah.
So it's been hard to.
It's kind of hard to do a podcast. Like, well, we don't even know what to expect at this point.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So your brother, Tavian.
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Were you how'd you get him over to Montana State?
Man, I've been trying to get that guy to come play at Montana State for 2 years, and so when the opportunity kind of presented itself when he finished up at Laney College down in Oakland, I said, why don't you just come to Montana State? Just come live with me, come play football, and we kind of got it to work out. And Coach Cho was on board with it. I mean, he watched his film, thought he'd be a good player, good addition to the team, and he fit right in. So it's been fun to have him part of the team for sure. And I was able to play with my older brother at the University of Washington. So I've been able to play with both brothers on both teams. So it's been a lot of fun.
Is it like fun having him in the locker room?
100%. Yeah. I mean, my brothers and I are real close. We've always been real close, and so just having him here, I mean, feels a little bit like home. You know what I'm saying?
Speaking of locker room, like you guys can be moving into the Bobcat Athletic Center.
We're hoping as soon as possible, but we're excited about it. They're finishing it up, so it'll be nice. It'll be nice to be able to be right there on the field with the new facilities.
Is that going to be like where all your operations are like handled out of?
They should be. We have everything centralized there, so it should be good.
Are your questions, or do you want to get in kind of the rapid fire stuff?
I still want to know a little bit about like. Yeah.
Do you have any game day superstitions?
Game day superstitions. It's funny, no, I never really believed in that. I believe in preparing for games the right way. I don't necessarily, if there's anything quirky or weird that I do, kind of just, I follow the same routine for the most part, but no, there's nothing out of the ordinary. Just get good sleep, eat good food, and you're ready to play.
Do you get nervous before games?
I think if you don't get nervous, you didn't prepare well enough. I think there's always that little bit of nervousness, the butterflies in your stomach, especially as a competitor. You want to go out and you play, but once you get past those first couple plays in that first series and you kind of settle into yourself and just play the game.
One of the questions I had on here is obviously about playing against the Grizz. Like what? I mean, that's got to be unreal. For one, two would be like, why? What's been? Let me read my question. What's been why are you guys been so successful against the Grizz? Like, what does it take?
I mean, being from Montana. Obviously, I'm not a kid from Montana, so you don't see it growing up.
Sure.
But these guys have played against each other and played with each other their whole lives, and so obviously, I mean, it means a lot to me. Obviously. But for the guys growing up in this state, man, it means that much more to them, and just playing against the guys they played against their whole life or played with their whole life. And it's hard to say that you treat games differently than other games, because at the end of the day, football's football and you really don't. But that game does mean a little bit more. And, I mean, it's just coming out with a different mentality, man. Just a different mentality.
How would you compare it to Apple Cup?
It's a similar type rivalry where you're either one or the other. If you grow up in the state of Washington, you're either a Cougar or a Husky. And if you grow up in the state of Montana, you're either a Bobcat or a Grizzly. And there's really no treading that line. It's a little bit different with smaller towns in Montana just because it means, I think, just a little bit more. I don't know if that's just based off of perspective, it being a small town, but I mean, what I found is that fans out here are a little bit more avid about it.
Well, there's no pro teams out here, so it's
no pro teams.
That's the highest level of sports that we can root for.
Yeah,
out here, so
100%.
That's what you do.
100%.
Our wives are both Cougs, so.
Oh shoot! See, that's tough. That's tough to be around, but no, that's all right.
Trying to be a fan of them is a little challenging.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay, so I some fun questions, some rapid team questions. Who's the best dancer on the team?
The best dancer on the team? Lewis Kidd. Ask him to dance for you. He'll do it.
Who has the best sneaker collection?
The best sneaker collection? Isaiah Fonze. That man has a lot of shoes.
Day or night games?
I'm a big fan of day games, believe it or not. I love day games. Something about college football game days.
Okay.
Who talks the most trash?
Talks the most trash? Wow. Casey Bauman. Go listen to that guy at practice. He'll talk a lot.
He's from Linden, too.
Who's one dude you don't want to mess with?
Chase Benson. He's quiet, but don't get on that guy's bad side.
Who's most clutch?
Most clutch?
Yeah.
Most clutch. That's tough. Troy Anderson. That man, and he shows up.
Well, then, if you need a scorer who's getting the ball, probably Troy Anderson.
Yeah. you could probably bet on that.
All right. I like this one. Who's a dude that won't shut up?
A guy that won't shut up.
Who's getting you in trouble? Who's getting you a personal foul?
Shoot, man. The entire defensive back room loves to talk.
Tyrell Thomas might be a candidate for that.
Yeah,
just watching them on the field.
They're funny to be around because they're all great guys, but man, they love to talk. It makes the game that much funner, that much more fun.
All right, yeah. Oh, who's the smoothest on the team?
The smoothest. I'm trying to.
I'm not even sure what that means. That was your question.
It's just like the guy who's like, when you watch him, you're like, damn, he's smooth.
I'm trying to go through it right now. Our running backs are pretty smooth. Like, everything they do, they're just smooth athletes. They make everything look pretty easy.
Just because, Elijah Elliott comes to mind when I think of
Yeah.
All right, I think it's all of our questions, right?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, no, I got one more. What's your favorite uniform combo?
I like the white helmets, the blue jerseys, and the white pants. It's my favorite. White, blue, white.
Yeah. I love the white.
Yeah.
I like the all white.
The all white, yeah, it's nice.
I like the clean look of that.
Yeah. Right on, man. Thanks, Amandre.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good meeting you guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was our interview with Amandre Williams from the Big Sky Kickoff media event. That was my first interview ever of anybody besides like maybe some reporters we've gotten on remotely. So I was a little nervous. So you could see that Ryan was handling a majority of those questions there. So it was a lot of fun. And thanks to Amandre for being a good sport about it. It's a lot of fun. So let's get right into the other interview we did subsequently with Lewis Kidd.
So I guess like 19 months since you've been out there, man. What do you miss most?
Just playing. You take it for granted a little bit, but I think we're all just super excited to get back on the field and just compete again, not hit each other, hit somebody else for a change. So that's huge. Just getting in front of the fans, being in the community, the buzz during the season, all that stuff is just. I'm ready to soak it all in for sure.
I know, like, you and Amandre are, like, some of the most recognizable faces out at Montana State. I mean, for the whole entire campus. What does that mean to you?
I mean, it's awesome. No pro teams in Montana, obviously. It's kind of awesome. The Cat Grizz rivalry, all that stuff. It's like you really got those are the 2 pro teams. So you got all the support in the communities all around, and it's really awesome to be recognized. Walking down the street, or you work with a kid at the kids camp, and they know you. It's really cool. It's super humbling, and it helps you build a great relationship with the community for sure.
Is that something you enjoy, is working with the youth?
Yeah, for sure. It's awesome. There's so many kids in Bozeman and so many great families, and it's awesome to be able to get out and connect with them and help them and, hopefully inspire them to kind of do big things when they get older.
That's awesome. So who are the guys that you looked up to in the program when you first got to Bozeman?
Yeah. There was a good amount. Tucker Yates, Matt Brownlow, JP Flynn. I'm kind of dating myself. That was a while ago, but those guys for sure. But yeah, there were so many good seniors on that team. Although it wasn't the season they wanted to end on, I think it helped us kind of in the long run. They were kind of the stepping stone of that transition, and unfortunately, like I said, didn't end the way we all would hoped and wanted to send them out, but they played a crucial role in that and kind of the build-up for us for sure.
Were you recruited as a defensive lineman, possibly?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So I got recruited mostly as an O lineman, but I had some FBS interests as a D lineman.
How tall were you coming out of high school?
I was about 6'5". Yeah, 6'5".
So that's a pretty tall defensive lineman, especially for the FCS.
Yeah, right.
So, when I was knew I was going to talk to you, I was like, I got to ask you on your profile pictures. You've been planning that every year, or is that just something that?
No, it's just it honestly just kind of happened. I always used to cut my hair short. One year in high school, I grew it out, and then I cut it short into a flat top kind of look, and I was like, okay. And then I cut it all throughout my freshman year, and then I got back in the summer of 2017. It was just I'm just going to let it go and see how far it takes me. And, every year it just got more and more, and it continues to just grow, and I haven't cut it since, so it's just kind of funny. I was like, you know what, after that second year, I was like, I just got to keep making it bigger and bigger for the pictures. And so, yeah, I usually wear it up, but for those pictures, I always pull it down and just to kind of see the growth for myself as well. Yeah.
Are the teammates in the back cheering you on?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, they love it. It's pretty funny.
Do you have to get a bigger helmet for that?
No, honestly, no. It compresses down pretty well. I just got to kind of pull it back and slick it a lot out of the back, but no need to size up the helmets. Luckily, luckily, it gets a little tight, but not too bad. Luckily.
How's the culture right now?
Great. I think the coaches did a good job of coming in and not changing a whole bunch. We streamlined some things for sure. Cut some things out that we might not necessarily needed. But the culture's great. We still are super tight as a team, very close, just ready to compete for each other. And I think it's super awesome. And one of the things I was worried about with anybody new coming in, and I think Vegan and the new guys he's brought in have done great, and then the guys he's kept around from the old staff continue to just hold that together. And I think it's awesome.
How great was it being able to keep your position coach?
Yeah, super awesome. That's a blessing for sure. Working with Coach Armstrong, he's a great coach. He's been coached by him for a couple years now, so it's awesome to have that continuity and just be able to have that consistency for sure.
Cool. What do you got going on after the year?
Hopefully we'll just see how far football takes me. Ideally, I'd love to play at the next level. That's been my dream. That's been my goal. So, have a great season and kind of see where that takes me for sure. Yeah.
Do you see yourself coming back to Bozeman at some point?
At some point, I think so. Hopefully when the housing market's a little bit down. I know housing's crazy everywhere, but it seems in Bozeman it's just nuts. I hear stories about older guys that I still talk to trying to buy houses and stuff, and all the people coming in with all these cash offerings, $80,000 over the asking price. It's just I can't even imagine. Luckily, my fiance lives in Minnesota, and that's where my family is, and her family. So luckily, we've had the plan of moving back to Minnesota when I'm all said and done, and excited about that. But I think hopefully someday get back out here and have some time.
You'll have the NFL money.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You want to go down to the rapid team questions?
Again, I mean, for the
Or
insert-
We got to end with this one. We forgot to ask.
Oh, okay, yeah, we'll get
the
there.
rapid ones.
All right, I got some fun questions for you.
All right.
Who's the best dancer on the team?
Ooh, best dancer on the team. That's tough. Maybe Willie P. Willie P. or Isaiah. Isaiah's really good. And
Andre
then,
told me it was you.
Nah, Amandre's lying. Andre likes to lie. Amandre likes to hype me up for no reason. Yeah, those would be some guys that I would say for sure.
Who has the best sneaker collection?
Ooh, sneaker collection. Willie's up there for sure. Demarius Hosey. Yeah, I'd say those are some top tier guys. Tui Asasopo. Got really good, especially for a big guy. I don't know how he finds the sizes that big, but
He's got big expensive sneakers.
yeah, he finds them and he rocks them. He's. I would go out on a limb and say he's got one of the best styles on the team for sure.
Interesting. Who talks the most trash?
James Campbell.
Serious?
Yep. He's a smack talker, and he's changed on both sides of the ball. So he gets after both sides, and it's hilarious. I love it.
Is he a DB this year?
Yeah.
he's okay.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it. Pretty much the entire DB room, usually on a team, is that.
Yeah.
Candidates for these kinds of things.
Exactly.
Who's the one dude you wouldn't mess with?
Chase Benson for sure. Yep. That's just
Two answers for Chase.
yeah. He's just that dude's. We were talking about him earlier. It's just he's just a super dominating guy, and just he's super quiet, doesn't say much, but it's like you don't mess with him. And he's my roommate, so I do kind of mess with him a little bit, but I don't take it too far because he starts messing around too much and he starts throwing punches, and it's just.
Are you playing tackle or guard this year?
I'll play tackle this year.
Okay.
Yep.
So you're not necessarily going against him.
Right, yeah. He's a bear of a block in practice, I will say. He's tough, and obviously he's been here just as long as I am, so it's tough, especially these D linemen when they pick up on your calls and cadences and all this stuff. And you make a call where the center's going to fake block the nose and go off, and the guard's going to come down and block the shade, and we make the call, and he turns himself directly at the guard because he knows exactly what's coming. It's just like, we got to change these calls or do something different, man, because this dude knows exactly what's going on. But yeah.
You go out against Amandre in practice then?
Yeah, Amandre and I go against each other quite a bit.
Battles?
I'd say we got a pretty even exchange, I mean, Amandre's, I think, one of the best pass rushers I've ever went against, and, he's quick, he's good with his hands, he's smart, he knows where the ball is at all times. He doesn't really get lost, he doesn't try to do too much, so, I think it's if you ask him, hopefully he'd say it's a pretty good exchange,
We forgot to ask him.
Who's most clutch?
Most clutch? Clutch, I don't know. I mean, clutch, I kind of thought of like Coy Steele in a lot of competitions. He's always winning stuff and, things like that. But I don't know. Clutch that's tough. I'd maybe put him up there, or maybe Troy Anderson for sure, or Isaiah. Yeah. For sure.
And that catch that Coy made and he got like sandwiched and somehow did he break a rib on that or something?
He ended up breaking a rib or cracking a rib there.
Held on to the ball, scored a touchdown.
Yeah, scored it, and then just dropped, and we thought he was like praying or celebrating. I was like, I've never seen Coy do that, and then come to find out he was hurt. But yeah, no, hard-nosed dude.
So then who's the guy, if you need a score, who's getting the ball?
Isaiah or Troy, for sure.
Day or night games?
Night until about October.
Yeah, depends where you live. We live in Bozeman.
If we're playing night in anywhere that's not Montana, night's awesome. But if we're talking home games, night games are awesome in September and a little bit of October. But as soon as it starts getting cold, noon it is for me.
Man, the Austin P game was one of the most electric games I've ever watched, though. So
yeah, that I will say that was super fun. And you know what I mean? It really, the cold is pretty bad during practices and stuff, but when it comes to game day, I have so much adrenaline. I don't really have any feel anyway, so it's awesome.
Well, they just did announce the night game against Weber State on ESPNU. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty cool.
That'll be
It's
be
in
awesome.
Ogden, but it'll still be pretty
for
cool having
sure.
a night game.
Yeah, they have a beautiful stadium and great fans, so we're excited to go compete against them. And yeah, night games are always a little bit more fun for sure.
Okay.
So maybe a slightly different question than who talks the most trash. Who just won't stop talking, period?
Ty O'Connor. That's the dude. Another Minnesota guy. He will talk your ear off for sure. Great guy, awesome. Everybody loves him. Good team guy, good player. And you wake up at 6 a.m. groggy for a workout, and you sit next to Ty, you'll wake right up because he is not gonna stop.
But is there like a guy on the team there you're like, this guy's going to get his personal foul if he doesn't shut up?
James, maybe. I don't know. He's usually pretty good in the. I think we do pretty good in the games of keeping a cool head.
I agree with getting back to
this one right here.
You can ask it.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know if we were going to ask this because you could say whatever you wanted, but like, why the struggles against NDSU?
They're just, a dominating great program.
Yeah.
As you can see in the past, it's not like, we're going into some team and getting upset or anything. It's like these guys know what they're doing. They make it to the championship dang near every year. Great coaches, just kind of a premier team in the FCS. So I think that's kind of, every team struggles against them. There's not really a team that has consistent success against them. There's teams that will sneak a win in every once in a while, or you have the upset. Southern Illinois this past spring. It was awesome to see them go out and kind of knock them off a little bit. But
didn't break my heart.
Yeah, but I'm excited. I think just each year we've just gotten better, and just hopefully we can see them again.
All right, I think I got one question. Just what do you want Bobcat fans to know about the upcoming season?
We're all super excited, and everybody's ready to play, and we hope they are. We know they are too. So it's going to be a great season and a lot of fun.
All right. Well, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, that was our interview with Lewis Kidd, the best dancer on the team, according to Amandre Williams. That was a pretty funny little jab there, I guess, that Amandre took at him from what I gathered from that. But
he's trying to make him dance.
Yeah, I think there's something there. So next time we see Lewis Kidd, we need to get him to dance because something's got to be comical or something out of that. So anyway, that was our interviews with Amandre Williams and Lewis Kidd. We'll, like Ryan said earlier in the episode, we'll get the Brent Vegan audio to you at some point. We're going to kind of hold on to that because this is probably pushing an hour as it is. So let's get out of here, Ryan, with a Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.